I think it's really horrible that we are not able to be with that person because you are literally watching someone die in front of you on camera, and all you get to do is do it over a phone. So I just feel it just does not do any justice to humanity, really. Yeah, it's very cruel.
Did you lose a loved one to COVID-19? As Malaysia is slowly opening up again, let's not forget the lives of whom we have lost to this deadly virus. I interviewed two Malaysians, Sharvin and Cassey, who lost a loved one to COVID-19 to learn what they went through.
I lost my father, Logeswaran, to COVID-19, and he was 41 years old. He passed away on the 25th of July 2021.
I lost my dad to COVID-19. He was only 60 years old and he passed away on May 16th.
He was a very good son. He was a good husband and a great dad to us. He gave us everything that we did in our life. He is a positive person. He would make everyone smile all the time. He made his role perfect in every part.
As a person, he was very loud. He always made a presence wherever he went. He was the man who kept everyone together. He loved cooking, so he would cook literally for everyone every other week. He was very passionate about classic cars and he loved dancing, and he was a very loving man who always was there to help a lot of people.
Our relationship was very good. Our bonding was very good. When he was alive, we wouldn't exchange our feelings. We would never say I love you, Appa. He wouldn't say, but he would always like tease me, make jokes on me.
My dad and I are very close because basically my dad's a single dad, so he's raised me all my life. He always put my education first. So, you know, being a single dad, he did send me abroad for many years. No matter how far I was very close to my dad. We never went a day without talking to each other.
I was sleeping, and then once I saw my mother, I asked her, so did you all went to a COVID test? And then she told yes. And then I was hoping for a no, but they were positive that time.
I just felt a bit weak, and my dad was already feeling not so good. So we all went to get tested together. And actually, I was in denial. I actually said to my dad, you go first and get tested. If you're tested positive, then I'm going to get tested. But I don't want to simply expose myself to a COVID center, you know, or a testing thing. We did the rapid test. So when the results were immediate. So when we were tested positive, we were all together. So yeah, I think my immediate reaction was just, oh shit, like, you know, because we did take precautions. We took everything. Like, my dad would not walk into the house without spraying Dettol on himself.
The night they were having symptoms, I was a bit suspecting. Since COVID-19 was in this Malaysia, we were very, very safe. We couldn't protect our father. So yeah, I was guilty and I was worried too. My father, as I told, he's a diabetes patient and he had 2 kidney failures.
It was just a few days before that he had received his blood test results. And he was really happy because he was so healthy, and he was like, I'm healthy and I'm fit, and he was just up and about all the time. When he found out he was positive, he just kind of was like, oh shit, you know. But when he found out that we were positive, I just saw my dad kind of sigh, and he had tears in his eyes, and I think he was just more concerned about us than of himself.
So since he should do dialysis, he admitted himself in the hospital. We would call him, but sometimes he couldn't speak to us well. So we reduced the timeline of calling him. We do not want to disturb him all the time because he prefers resting.
We slept it off on Friday, and Saturday I kind of looked at my dad and I was like, he just seems so weak. I took the oximeter and I put it on his finger, and I saw it was below 90, it was already 86. And that's when I panicked. I did call the ambulance. And when I called the ambulance, they kept saying that there were no COVID ambulances available. So because all 3 of us were COVID positive, we didn't know how to react, you know, so we were very confused. And the ambulance did call and they did speak to my dad, and they were like testing his consciousness, and he was perfectly conscious. And my dad kept telling me, I'm fine, look, I can hold my breath. And he was holding his breath for like 10-15 seconds, and he was very convinced he was okay. And then the ambulance said basically to monitor him until Sunday morning. So then the Sunday morning, I looked at my dad and I was like, Dad, I'm really worried. You're not looking good. He felt very cold, and I was like a bit concerned because he was very lucid. A doctor from KKM rang us and said, you know what, at this point, please can all of you just take him to the hospital. What really sucks is that because we were so concerned for my dad, and also we were all concerned about us being COVID, that we didn't want to put anyone in danger. So my dad literally just got out of the car and he just walked it. And we were like kind of left behind because we just did not want to put anyone else in danger. So I couldn't really hug my dad or kiss him or anything, you know. I mean, he was just sitting on the chair behind while we were waiting, and you know, he just asked me, can you massage my head? So I just like massaged his head, and I was like, you know, you're gonna be okay, you're gonna fight this. Like, if anyone that's gonna fight this, it's you. So you know, that was basically the last. So we dropped him off at the hospital on that Sunday morning.
He couldn't breathe, so he was having the oxygen inserted through his nose. Even though it was inserted, he couldn't speak. He was unable to do one thing. For an example, sitting. He couldn't do it for a long time. That's the thing he was suffering. We only communicated with the hospital administration.
I think he just couldn't get out of bed, right? And I think one of the first signs was that he lost his appetite. But he was still alert. I think on Monday he got his chest x-ray back. He did not tell me or his wife, but you know, I think he got scared because I think he saw the chest x-ray was quite bad. So he kind of let his closest friends know that, hey, I don't think I'm gonna make it, you know, and said, please take care of my girls. He didn't share anything else with us, and what we did was, he was just being very normal with us. So on Monday night, he was moved to ICU. And I think it's where, like, you know, he's going quite bad, but he still didn't tell us or inform us that it's bad. He was just like, okay, you know, they're just doing it for precaution. On Tuesday, we get a phone call with about 12 o'clock noon, 1 o'clock, from the doctor saying, look, we are going to need to intubate your dad. You can speak to him right now. It hit me, oh no, this is bad, because, you know, potentially this could be the last time that I could see my dad. But at the same time, I was very optimistic that he would make it, because he is such a fighter. He's had many accidents and he always fights it. He always gets through it. Sunday morning 8 a.m. also, my father's sister called the hospital and they told that he is walking. And then my aunt told that she would bring some food to him later on. And then suddenly 10 a.m. he passed away. I got to know this by getting a call from the hospital. So when I got the call from hospital, I didn't believe. My body was still. My heartbeat stops for a while, and then very fastly it beats. My body gets cool. You know, that feeling, I have never felt that feeling in my life. As we were driving into the hospital, we got a phone call at the parking lot, and they were like, okay, he's passing now. And they basically walk you through saying bye to your loved one. Just told him I loved him, and I said that everything's going to be okay, and you know what, he's done everything that he could, and I told him he was a great man, and he's done, like, we're good. And it's funny because as he passed, it started raining really heavy. So I was like, Dad, look outside, you know, it's really raining because the world is mourning your loss today. And yeah, and then I just said the Lord's Prayer and said a few prayers, and then the doctor said, okay, he's passed at 11:05, and you know, he said, like, you know, I'm so sorry, and you know, and they said, look, we will contact you now on what the process is. I get to know, I couldn't believe, and then I called my aunt to inform that I don't know what are people telling to me, please handle this. And then she came to our house, she was sitting, she opened her laptop, and then she video called the nurse, and the nurse showed our father. By the time she showed our father passed away. It was really a painful moment when we realized that we couldn't say anything to him, not even a goodbye. I think it's really horrible that we are not able to be with that person, because you are literally watching someone die in front of you on camera, and all you get to do is do it over a phone. So I just feel it just does not do any justice to humanity, really. Yeah, it's very cruel. We just said the final prayers for my dad at the mortuary, and within 6 minutes they had to go, because they had to go for the the next funeral had to start, right? And then when you reach the crematorium, it's just immediately go to the screen and then you will just wait for his turn and then they cremate, you know. When you look into the whole process, it's very traumatic because, you know, when somebody who's lived such a great life and that the day he passed, he was just put in a bag, you know, and for me that was just, it's horrible.
Only 4 people are allowed to see our father. So the time myself, my brother and my mother went in, and extra my father's sister went in. My mother told that she couldn't tell everything that she had for 17 years. The last few 30 seconds, she could only see him.
He really made an impression on people. So when he did pass, everyone was horrified and very, very upset. And the fact that they couldn't be there to send him off or come and pay their respects, especially because of the limit, right? They only allow family members. So I think that's why I was very adamant on wanting him to be cremated, because even though I couldn't do his funeral, at least now I can give him a proper send-off when things ease up a little bit.
When we arrived at to the cemetery there, we saw a lot of people. All of them were my father's friends, close friends. And that time I realized that when he was alive, he really had good people around him.
It's been hard. Like, you know, there are good days and bad days. There are days when I would just be happy, and then suddenly that it hits me that he's not here anymore. And then, yeah, you just cry it all out. And I've given myself that space to cry and just cry anytime I want.
I promised him when he passed away that I would really one day make his name proud. I would always address myself as Sharvin. This is to symbolize that my father is my backbone, my father is my everything. He didn't have any graduate from his family, and he would like to see his son to be graduating. And that proud moment, he would always tell that I would call him onto the stage when I'm graduating, and my name, Sharvin, will be big on the screen behind. He would always tell that he would never talk about their marriage, how many babies no.
I have my own little social media, and like I remember sharing bits and bobs of my story. Having that sort of support from people who I don't even know but who went through the same exact thing as me, it just gave me a lot of support. The people that were closest to my dad, who meant everything to my dad, are all there. So I think they've helped me cope because they are still holding us up to keep going.
He's my father. I should think about him. I will think about him every day, but it doesn't make me weak. I always remember my father's teaching, my father's scolding every time, and that pushes me to do many great things more in my life.
My dad was really cute because he always said, before you fall in love with any other man, make sure you fall in love with your dad first, right? Because I've been studying abroad, and like, you know, every time my dad would be the first one who will send me Valentine's Day flowers.
Happy Valentine, my dearest Chuchu.
My dad was also one who wrote me letters. So on my 16th birthday, he wrote me a beautiful letter. So I always read the letters and watch his videos, and that also gives me a lot of comfort because in his letter he kind of said, you know, when I'm gone, just always know I'm here, you know, and I really do feel that. So yeah, I keep all those precious things.
Long story short, even though most places have opened up, we are still vulnerable to COVID-19. Please be careful and follow SOPs. I would like to invite all of you guys to take a moment to remember the lives that we have lost to COVID-19.